Hey, what's up everyone? Thank you for tuning in to my deck tech. I am going to make a very short video briefly explaining the deck that I'm using so that way you guys can get some ideas on how to build a deck yourself. Right now I'm Platinum 1. I'm not the best player, but I just started. I have a decent grasp of the game and I decided to play an aggro deck. So the first thing that you do when you build a deck is you pick which master that you like. I particularly like the Stormbringer master. He has ranged attacks himself that can hit flying creatures, and he also gives extra range to your ranged minions. I like using range. I feel like I'm safe when I'm at a ranged distance, and because he powers up the ranged minions, he makes a great candidate for a ranged deck. So the first card that I have is two different crossbow dudes. Crossbow dudes, they're only 2 mana and you summon 2 of them. However, you can split them at the beginning of the game to take both bridges if you would like to. That is definitely a good play, and later on in the game when you're trying to overwhelm them with the amount of minions that you have, you want to go ahead and drop your crossbow dudes next to the crossbow guild, unless they have an AoE attack, because it's very easy to drop a crossbow guild down and then when they pop one out you drop another crossbow dudes and now it's a group of 3 and then they still keep pumping. So I feel like this guy has a very solid early game, and in this deck particularly he has a very solid late game, getting the bonus from my master as well as helping the crossbow guild build up an army of crossbow dudes. Next up we have the Grasping Thorns. This is a building, and simply if an enemy walks through it, it slows them down and does a lot of damage. So my deck is an aggressive deck that tries to put as many minions into play as possible, so Grasping Thorns would be a perfect counter for that. The great thing about the thing is that it is untargetable, so it cannot be targeted by minions or spells, but it will take damage from area effects. So it's possible for it to get blown up through area of effect damage, but that's it. So not only do a lot of people not know that right now currently, but it just being untargetable to begin with for 2 mana is very solid. You often get a large trade for just 2 mana. Next up we have a spell. It's a Lightning Bolt. It destroys 1 random enemy minion or building. Clearly it's not good against rush like my deck with a ton of minions out, because you don't know which one you're going to destroy, but there are a lot of different archetypes to build upon, and there is one where they drop a huge monster with a ton of HP and then they buff his HP a ton and they constantly heal him, and it's very difficult to kill him. So I just simply pack 1 Lightning Bolt in my deck, and if I happen to go up against a strategy that they try to make 1 very big strong minion, I have the answer for it right away. Next we have the Magma Cannon. The Magma Cannon is simply there for defense. Sometimes, even though I'm a rush deck, my opponent can get the upper hand on me. I do have an option when I'm losing or don't have the momentum, which is simply to drop down a Magma Cannon and to try to build up and take one side of the field and then go from there. This, in my opinion, it has 300 health, which is quite high, and it does quite a high amount of damage, and it attacks the ground and the air about every single second. So as far as a defense option, so far this is one of the better ones that I know. Next we have Morgul, the Swarmer King. He is the best card overall. He's not the best card in my deck, but the best card overall that I've read so far. And the reason why is because he has so many different effects that happen. So it only costs 4 mana to get someone with 240 health. And that's not that bad. However, on summon, he roars, and his roar summons 2 swarmers alongside him, and it also does 50 damage and knocks back enemies. Not only does it do it when he comes into play, it also does it on death too. So you get an extra 100 damage, 50 in play, 50 when leaving play, and 4 extra minions, all for the price of 4 on a 240 health body. He is a legendary card, but this is one of the better cards that I like right now. And I simply use him if my opponent is coming down a bridge, they got 3 pretty decent minions, or they got a lot of minions crowded up. I just drop him right in the middle of it, and I just make him roar, deal damage to everyone, and get out of there as quick as I possibly can, hopefully with the mana advantage. Next up, we have shielded crossbow dudes. By themselves, they're nothing spectacular, but in a huge group of other crossbow dudes, they do excel. A lot of people have area of effect attacks. I like to drop these guys down with my other guys simply because they do not take damage from area effect as long as they have their shield up, because they absorb 1 attack, and that helps me because I often don't have to restart at 0 minions. I still have quite a few minions on the field, even when they expect to take them all out. Next, we have Spear Thrower, which is a ranged minion to begin with, but after it throws its first spear, it does just bring out its sword and attacks melee. However, the reason why that this is a good card is because you get 4 minions for the price of 4 mana, and they all have 100 health, and they hit the ground and the air. So it's not something so amazing that it's going to win you the game by itself, but it's just an overall decent, well-designed card that's not too powerful, but it's definitely good enough to deserve a spot in a deck. And next, we have Succubus. Succubus is another ranged minion to go along with the ranged theme, and her ability is that she teleports away from melee attacks when hit. So if someone hits her with a melee attack, she teleports back, and that's an advantage because the melee person now has to walk to her again to hit her again while she's doing her ranged attacks the whole entire time. She's pretty resilient, and she is just simply good to have against anyone that has a melee attack. I don't know if I'm going to keep this card in my deck forever, but it does attack the ground and the air. It has a very fast attack, attacking less than every single second, and it does get the range boost too, so it does fit in nicely into the deck. And then lastly, the main star of the deck, the Crossbow Guild. This card, you drop it into play, it's a building, and then every so often it just pops out a crossbow dude. Now, I don't know the exact amount that it pops out, however, it's definitely more than 6 mana's worth, and as long as you can protect your building and you have 1 that comes out, you know, you're constantly gaining mana and you're playing other spells. So if you're able to control the field with this building in play, then you constantly have minions non-stop coming out to assist you, and it quickly becomes too much for your opponent to deal with if they don't deal with it soon. And that is why this deck is called the Ranged Rush, because you're simply just trying to rush down your opponent. That was a very, very quick rundown of all the cards. And yeah, I hope you like the deck tech, man. This was a crude, short video. I just wanted to make it, help you guys get those creative juices flowing, and I promise I'll be coming out with some brand new decks. The videos will be really well thought out, interesting, good edits in them and all that stuff too. But for now, this is what I got. Thank you guys. Make sure to catch me live on Twitch every Tuesday, every Thursday, and every Sunday. It's Bagboy TV.